groups, all types of groups that have been historically left out, and that absolutely includes the Latino community.
Thank you, that's great. And Alexis, I want to toss it over to you because, employers are, to piggyback on your statement there, employers are the most important, right? They're the ones who drive. You can't have an apprenticeship without an employer. It just doesn't exist. You can prepare 1 million people, but if you only have 5 companies, you don't have places for everyone to go. So as an employer, with MAC, how have what feedback have you received from the graduates of the early care and education apprenticeship program? And then how has that influenced your program's development? I always say you have to have a focus on the individuals going through, because we have these big ideas, we're just gonna do it, but if we don't talk to the individuals that are going through the program, engaging and adjusting as they go through, then we won't have a successful program. So what feedback have you received?
So I will share, we are in year 1. We're actually not even through 18 months of our program. We're 9 months through our program. But we have been collecting ongoing feedback and evaluations, both from the community college that's providing the curriculum, from the participants, and also from our staff. And what we were realizing is we need more focused attention. The apprenticeship program used to live across 2 departments. It's now embraced in 1, and we're hiring more staff, more at the specialist level, to help provide that one-on-one support with our apprentices, because what we're finding is that there is more being asked to support our apprentices, like having issues with family obstacles. Like if you think on a day-to-day, if someone is becoming nationalized, they have a child while they're in the program, or are having struggles with other issues like domestic violence or other safety concerns, that all prevents them, all of those issues prevent them from showing up to an apprenticeship program regularly to learn, to graduate, and to be on to the next. And so we're finding that we're bringing more of our wraparound services, housing, social services, to support those apprentices, which is a great finding, but it's also really identifies that a lot of support is needed to some of these folks, and it's a reminder for why these participants have not joined the workforce, because there are a lot of obstacles that stand in the way of their success. So again, I think what we're realizing is that we do need to provide additional support, so we are in the process of recruiting more staff to support this program. And I would say in a year from now, when we come back, I'll tell you how cohort 1 has finished and how cohort 2 is going. And otherwise, the feedback from the community college has been that overwhelming support. There are participants now that were enrolled in just this as a curriculum that now are so excited about college and learning. They're now enrolling in other college courses. I will say we've had like a 95% graduation rate from one class to the next, so we're seeing them progress through the different courses with success. So as process indicators in evaluation, not necessarily completion, we are seeing overwhelming success for even those little milestones that feel like little milestones, maybe for those of us who've gone through years of college or education. Families are coming, shedding a tear or 2 at the different milestone celebrations, because this is the first maybe person in their family to be at this place in their professional and academic lives, and it's a really powerful feeling as an employer, and really excited to continue with this program into year 2, which we're recruiting for now.
Thank you, Hareen. As we work our way to wrap up here, coming back up this way. So, how can registered apprenticeship programs really be better aligned with the needs of employers? Like, those emerging industries, what can be done, right? We've heard it from Mac, we've heard Alexis really has shared how they've had conversations, how they're tweaking things as they're going along, but how can those programs be better aligned with the needs of employers in emerging industries?
So how many of y'all know what a sector partnership is? You raise your hands? No, okay. A few people, I know you know. So basically, Louisa talked about this, and UNIDOS is supporting. So sector partnership is basically where you get alignment with industry. So let's say like in LA, you get the healthcare providers together. They work with like an anchor institutions, a community-based group, or it could be a community college. And that anchor institution is the one that's aligning the demand signals to the supply side. right? And so the employers start to tell the anchor institution how many people we need. That anchor institution starts working with whether it's labor unions, community college, community-based groups, or what the pathways are. But that anchor institution tries to help align. But the key part is employer cooperation, not competition. Cooperation around talent, not competition of talent. Because let's say if you're an employer, you're putting like $100 yourself into training, right? That's a lot of money. But let's say you get together with 10 other employers and you're only putting 20 bucks in, but that whole pot just grows, right? You're putting less in as an employer, but the entire overall pot that goes to training has just grown, right? That is a sector partnership, right? Because everyone is funding the training program, and you can even afford to do the supportive services that are now needed because you have extra funding, so you can support more people. That is the underlying basis of what needs to happen, because that aligns this fragmented workforce system. And within that, you could create a registered apprenticeship program for some of those things. So we're doing some of this, Burning Glass is doing some of this in Houston with the Greater Houston Partnership, where we got the 3 major healthcare providers together, and they were trying to talk about what the apprenticeship pathways are in healthcare. We're looking at models. There's a really good one in Washington State where you take home health aides, really low wage job, right? But severely needed. Can we create a pathway from that to register nursing, right? Which is a well-paid job, usually requires a college degree. And so that is something that will be transformed. All the healthcare providers need it. They're trying to align their funding to support it. And so that is how you build something where you get employer buy-in. But you all in the community need to be there. I need to help force this issue. I need to help fund and support these sector partnerships. Employers just need to understand, we're going to reduce your front-end cost, and that'll help. The other way to get employers on board, I say, Josh, with trucking, one of the ways we did it was when we were talking about safety, right? This trucking cause accident. We're like, insurance companies, do you know what a registered apprenticeship is? They had no idea. So when we got the insurance companies in the room, they were like, oh, we'll reduce your premium costs, or anyone that went through it. So now you saw so many more folks who are just as impacted getting into trucking jobs. Because before it was like their insurance costs are super high. They're like, oh, we don't trust that person. They're gonna go steal it, whatever's in the truck. We don't wanna hire them. But when they go through the registered apprenticeship program, the premium drop. The same way with women, the same way with under 18-year-olds. And so if you help reduce the risk for the employer, there's more optimal.
Great point, and definitely as we think about here, Alex, I want to pass to you this question. So, Harina's hit on it, Alexis has hit on it. There's a tremendous amount of benefits to the Registered Apprenticeship Program, to engaging, having the conversation, engaging industry. What is it, we know that it seems like, we talked about a little bit, it's a comprehensive endeavor, right, getting engaged. But what is it, and what can SCAN do, right, in this area, in the local area? What can you all do to help support employers or CBOs? What can you do to help support them in those conversations that they're having, whether it's the employer side of who is interested in bringing in a registered apprenticeship program, or it's the CBO side who says, we have all this talent, how do we get them connected? What can you all do to help support them?
Absolutely. So even just chiming on some of the things you were sharing is, obviously employers are needed, right? No job, no apprenticeship program, and no long-term pathway for the individuals we're trying to serve. But in the same way that a lot of you know, you can't be what you can't see, right? In the same way that we have mentors who represent the communities that the people we're trying to serve and train come from, right? To open up the possibility. And employers need the same thing. So the most effective way to convince employers that apprenticeship is an effective model for them is for other employers to tell them about their successes and why they did it. And then for some of their apprentice graduates, to their stories to be told and how much value they are providing to the company. So when we're talking about convincing employers, often other employers are the most effective. Sometimes when an employer hears somebody speaking education talk or speaking government talk or even speaking apprenticeship talk, it's just like, you don't speak the same language. So you're trying to sell me something. Like, why am I going to do this? So when I talk to employers, I say, I don't use the A word at all. I don't use the word apprenticeship. We're talking about their problems, right? Their talent problems, retention problems, everything that they're experiencing. Maybe at the end of the first conversation, we even use the word apprenticeship. But our network as a SCAN, we're led by employers, some of the companies I mentioned earlier, right? And we're even building a team specifically around employer engagement to help lead those conversations, hosting webinars where they're sharing their success stories that you can invite other companies to or send a recording of the video to, share their success stories with apprentices. And we're also a starting point for a lot of organizations who are maybe CBOs or education, or even employers like, I don't even know where to get started. This is so massive and complicated, there's so many moving pieces. Like, okay, come hang out for a bit, come learn from other groups who are doing it successfully in our network, and then we will help you get plugged in with the right partners based on the outcomes that you're looking to see based on whatever type of organization you are. So we have a monthly virtual meeting, second Thursday of every month at 12 p.m. Anyone is invited. We've been consistently getting like over 100 apprenticeship stakeholders showing up, doing virtual networking, learning from each other, learning about funding opportunities, resources, and ways to get plugged in with the work that each other are doing. So we would love to welcome you into the family, into the community, as we're all trying to build these opportunities together.
Yeah, thank you, and thank all three of you. Thank you, Alexis. Thank you, Doreen. Thank you, Alex. It's been, some great, yes, please. Some great conversation from individuals who are really engaged, whether it's here locally or Hareen, who's representing from nationally, conversations around apprenticeship and why the need, where the need is, and how can we really engage all of our communities getting involved in the apprenticeship program. I have a couple things here as I close out, a couple notes. For those of you in the room who are community-based organizations and you're having conversations with employers on a daily basis, I want you to go in and have this conversation with them. I want you to say this one sentence to them. Don't even use the word equity, don't use diversity, don't use inclusion, don't use accessibility. I want you to go in and ask them this one sentence when you have a conversation. Where will you recruit your workforce for the next 10 years? I want you to ask them that, because that inherently says that whoever they've been recruiting from, that well is dried up. And if they say, oh, don't worry, there's a whole well of middle-aged white men that we're gonna recruit from, then you should be like, all right, tell me where they are, because I know there's 1,000 other employers who are looking for that same well of middle-aged white men that does not exist. So help them understand that, help them see that to really build their workforce, they're going to have to bring in individuals and tap into a talent pool that they've never engaged with before. And you all from the organizations can help make that connection. It's one of the things that we talked about with Luis, with UNIDOS. One of the things that I've had tremendous amount of conversation where is the affiliates just don't know. You actually have all the power. You have the pipeline, the talent there that the employers need. It's just helping you understand how to make that connection, how to go in and have that conversation. The other thing I want to implore you to do as an affiliate, as an organization that are in the room, have a conversation with industry to think differently. Help them see what's possible. As Alex just said, it was less about saying the apprenticeship word, but more about pointing out what could they do. I always used to train my staff to say, ask an employer, what could you do with 5 more people? How more competitively could you be locally, nationally, globally, with this amount more people? So have those conversations. Don't be afraid to talk to industry in that way. And lastly, Brent is gone. He left he had a flight at 1. But I think, for sure, this administration has put in trillions of dollars into workforce, over 500 million just into apprenticeship alone. And that is remarkable. For someone who is an apprenticeship guru, as Luis called me, I love apprenticeship, it's changed my life. To see that amount of an investment is very promising. So for those of you who have not been engaged in that conversation, start to get engaged in that conversation, whether it's connecting with SCAN, connecting with Hareen, having a conversation with Alexis around what they're doing at MAC. But I want to thank each and every one of you all for coming here and joining us today. And once again, thank you, my panel. Go ahead, Hareen.
Sorry, I got one point on the administration side. So, I hope there's no change in administration, but the likelihood there might be a change in how apprenticeships are done, which will go to an industry registered apprenticeship program, right? Industry-driven IRAP. And so while you all are interested in getting it started, the one caution I want you all to think about today, maybe, as you start thinking about how to start one, is job quality. The reason we were so bullish and went all in on registered apprenticeships is because of the quality piece. what we're worried about is if it's industry standard, it'll just be like a regular online degree or credential, which may not mean anything. So it is up to you all to ensure your folks are going through a quality program, and so black and brown folks will not continue to go in a program that doesn't mean anything. And so that is my one word of caution as we think about apprenticeships, and folks are gonna continue to grow, and they're gonna try to grow it too,
Yes.
but quality, quality, quality.
Definitely agreed. All right, I'd like to close out with this saying everywhere I go, and it's, I always pay homage to my predecessor, who was the state director of Wisconsin Apprenticeship before I was, but I always close out with this. There are good ships and wood ships, and ships that sail the sea, but the best ships are apprenticeships, and may they always be. Thank you.
I'm gonna make a quick announcement. So, quick announcement, we modify a little bit the schedule and the rooms, and so we're gonna give folks a 5-minute break for you to stretch your legs. If you need to use the restroom, the restrooms are right out of the door on that door and the other side. So we have restrooms here. If you need some sun, you can walk outside, get a phone call. We're gonna be back in 5 minutes for the session 1. So we're gonna do a breakout session. We're gonna dive deeper. That's gonna be led by Joshua and Jose Anaya. You have that in the, we're gonna talk a little bit more on the tactics of apprenticeship. After that, so we're gonna start in 5 minutes. After that, we're gonna have lunch, and then we're gonna come back to this room. The change was that before we had to go across campus to a different classroom, and we're gonna decide, we're gonna do the workshops here. So we have lunch in the Jardín, which is the big tent, and then we come back for our last session. So we're gonna have 2 breakout sessions, and then that will conclude the day. So in 5 minutes, I'll see you. Thanks.